Hey everybody, okay, so tonight I'm going to be talking on a topic that not very many people talk about on YouTube, and I've noticed that because, I've been a YouTuber, like watching YouTube videos, and, you know, I've had different YouTube channels, and now there's this one that, I'm starting fresh, making more serious videos, and there's gonna be times where I'm gonna have fun with it and everything like that, but a lot of the videos are gonna be on talks and everything like that. But anyways, you may notice that I have a scar right here. I have this one little one right here, and then I have this long one right here. Now, they're not as bad as they were before because it's been quite some time since I had the procedure done. Now, I had a total thyroidectomy, and if you guys don't know what that is, a thyroidectomy is when you get your thyroid removed, like the thyroid gland, um, because it's causing you problems, like health problems that are quite severe, is when they will take it out. But if you're not experiencing extremely severe um, medical problems because of it, they'll just have you on medication to kind of control it. Now, before I got my thyroidectomy, I was taking Tapazole every single day. I was taking Metoprolol because I also had heart problems this time around. Now, the reason why I'm saying this time around is because I had this problem as a child too. It originally started when I was 8 years old, where my thyroid became overactive. And there is a difference between overactive and underactive. Overactive, you have a lot of energy, you have difficulty gaining weight, you have a really large appetite. And underactive is when you're more tired, you don't really want to get out of bed, um, you don't really have an appetite, and gaining weight comes very easy to you when your thyroid's underactive. Mine was overactive, and it was so overactive that they called it Graves' disease. Now, that's scary, being an 8 years old, finding out that you have a disease because of a medical condition. Now, yeah, I was scared, and I was taking meds. And then by about 15 years old, I started weaning myself off of my medication because, teenagers don't like taking meds. Most teenagers don't. um, so I started weaning myself off my medication, and the doctors were monitoring my levels as I was doing this, and I told them, yes, I'm weaning myself off my medication. I do not like taking medication. I would prefer something else. And so they just monitored my thyroid as I was weaning myself off. And then by the time I was done taking them, my thyroid was normal. Now that's very rare. That very rarely happens um, in anybody who has a thyroid problem and they're weaning themselves off their medication. Um, this past September, I went into the hospital because I wasn't feeling good, and I was feeling like crap. Um, I ended up having the flu, and I couldn't keep anything down, and that's sort of when it started, where it was once in a while that I would be dehydrated, where I couldn't keep anything down. Other than that, I was feeling alright, and then I was feeling not alright, and it was kind of going back and forth. The reason why I sound like this, if you guys are wondering, is because I have a sinus infection and I'm on antibiotics to get rid of it. So I apologize if my voice sounds hoarse. Um, just try to listen past it. Anyways, so this time around, they were still considering it Graves' disease, which, I kind of figured they would consider it Graves' disease again. And, I wasn't too worried, but then, they started performing ECGs on me. And if you don't know what ECGs, like heart ECGs are, it monitors your heart waves to monitor your heart, and, how hard it's working, how fast it's going. And my heart was working pretty hard. So they started me on a medication called metoprolol. I was already on Tapazole once again, um, to try to control it. Um, and as the months went on, my thyroid was becoming more and more controlled, and I was having an easier time. I wasn't having a flawless time, but I was having an easier time gaining weight. Pardon me, gaining weight, but I was having troubles keeping it on. There we go. But on January 2nd, I ended up going into the hospital because I couldn't keep anything down once again. And for a few weeks, from just before Christmas, I think it was like the 18th, maybe the 17th, I started feeling really ill. Where, walking was really difficult, and keeping food down, keeping fluids down, it was really hard. And then there would be times where I'd go into the hospital. There was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 times that I went into the hospital for dehydration because I couldn't keep anything down. And they were worried about me. They were talking about hospitalizing me. And I was just like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Just get it under control to the point where I can eat again. And, I'll be out of your hair. So that's what they did, because they trusted me for the first little while. And then on January 2nd I went in and I couldn't keep anything down. They were giving me ice chips. I couldn't keep that down. And next thing I know, I'm waking up in the ICU, hooked up to a bunch of machines. Now, when I become more coherent, my family tells me, oh yeah, you had a heart attack, and we made sure that your baby girl was well taken care of during this really tough time and this really bad bump in the road. And so I learned that I had a heart attack, and the reason why I woke up in the ICU, hooked up to a bunch of machines, was because they had me intubated for a couple days after my heart attack. And so they had me in the hospital for 19 days watching over me, and I was in the ICU for 9 of those days, pretty much. I was in the emergency the first day, and then after that I was in the ICU until day 9. So 8 days I was in the ICU, and then I went up to the ward, or down to the ward, whatever. Yeah, up to the ward. Now, it was very, 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 very difficult being in there, like emotionally being away from my daughter, and, not being in my comfort zone, not being at home. It was very hard on me, so my emotions were going all over the place, and, I couldn't keep myself calm, so I became rather self-dependent, so I was doing really well. I was able to get up, go to the washroom by myself, able to go for walks. Like, whenever I had people come to visit me when I was in the ward, I would go for walks to train myself so that my legs weren't as wobbly when I went home, because I was laid up for so long. But yeah, anyways, I was told, oh, so you're probably going to end up going for surgery to get your thyroid removed before you leave the hospital. Well, that didn't end up happening. They told me the safest option would be to send me home, let me recover a little bit, let me recuperate, and then they'd bring me back for my surgery in about three months or so. But that 3 months was, like that didn't even happen. I was back in the hospital on the 16th of February because I was released from the hospital after my intubation. And after being in the hospital for 19 days, I was released on the 21st of January. And then I was back in the hospital on the 16th of, I went for my pre-op appointment on the 10th of February. I was back in the hospital on the 16th of February, and I had my surgery on the 17th. So it's been almost a month since I've had my surgery, and I'm being told that it's recovering really well. I mean, you can barely tell that there's a scar there. Like, obviously you could see the scar, but, it doesn't feel all that odd anymore. There was quite some time when I felt the stretch. When I had the steri strips on after my surgery, I was like this, and I couldn't, lifting my head was really hard. Turning my head was really hard with the steri strips. And then as they started falling off, moving my head, I had more mobility in my head. So my neck was really stiff when I had the steri strips on. But then as they started falling off, the stiffness started going away. I started feeling more comfortable. And once the steri strips were gone, I washed the area, patted it dry, and I started using vitamin E oil on it. So that's why it looks so good at this point at almost a month post-op. So right now I'm also on blood thinners, and me being at the young age that I am, I've been given a title, and I'm not very proud of the title, but I've been told that I am one of the youngest patients to be on blood thinners in Canada. And so it doesn't make me impressed, but at least I know that I'm becoming healthy again. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I have a clot. Where I have my clot, the reason why I'm on blood thinners is because I have a blood clot. The blood clot that I have is in my heart. Now, it's really scary because due to the fact that my heart was working so hard, that's why I have the clot. Because a normal, healthy person, when blood gets pumped into their heart, 60% of it gets pumped back out and sent through the rest of the body. In my case, only 50% left my heart and went through the rest of my body, and that other 10% pooled in the bottom of my heart. Now, when when I had my heart attack and they were resuscitating me, it clumped together and it created the clot. So that's what happened to me. That's why I'm on blood thinners. That's why, that's why I got in so soon for my surgery. They just wanted to get my thyroid out so I could start gaining weight again and, become healthy. So that's what happened.